So hey everybody, welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for aspiring real estate investors. In each episode, we connect with seasoned investors and industry subject matter experts who are eager to share their experiences and tips for success when investing in real estate. So today, I am super excited because for Steve Couper's podcast number 4, I'm thrilled to welcome Fernando Nunes to the show. You've got a remarkable career spanning more than 25 years. Fernando's excelled at sales and business growth executive. He's collaborated with some of the globe's most prominent brands, achieving over 200 million in sales. Known for your ability to deliver exceptional experiences and strategic insights, Fernando has played a pivotal role in driving business growth. Welcome, Fernando Nunes.
Thank you so much, Steve.
So my friend, you bring so much to the table. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. But before I go on, did I get everything right? Was there any errors in that introduction?
No. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I've been very fortunate to have a diverse working background, right? And
Right.
for the past 25 plus years, I've been kind of in a business, different types of business roles, business leadership, sales, strategy, to operations, like all kinds of stuff. So it's been a fun ride.
You know, you have a tremendous presence. You
Mm.
when I first met you, I was struck by that, and I think about it now as well. You got an amazing sense of calm that sort of precedes you, right? I'm thinking that as you've approached things in life, most salespeople or people with experience in sales can be very pushy and very sort of high end, and you're calm, cool, relaxed, and cool as a cucumber. Have you always been like that, or is that something that you just grew into?
Um, Great question, actually. I think I've generally always been like this. I've always been very easy around people. I moved a lot when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I've lost track now. I mean, I'm sure I could do the count, but I do remember when I was like 20 years old, I'd already moved like 26 times. So
Wow.
I think just in that constant state of like, being in different schools, meeting new kids, grew up in a relatively large family. So I think that just that presence of being around people, um, has just, I don't know, made me comfortable around people.
Yeah.
And then,
That's something I sense is you feel comfortable in any crowd.
yeah, I do. And, actually recently I had this realization. So I know I'm a bit of an extrovert, right? But
Mhm.
not that real, like ostentatious, like, well, I guess sometimes I come across as being that, but like, I'm comfortable around people. I'm outgoing, all those things. I'm incredibly uncomfortable. Like even when you're doing your intro and you're saying these things, I actually have this meme that's perfect for this. It's this little girl holding a present like this, and she just looks super uncomfortable. And I'm like, that is me when people actually notice me, which is funny because I do these things that draw attention. Again, I think what you're saying is this presence. But then when people notice it, I get really like almost uncomfortable with it, which is interesting. But so we were recently on the Wealth Genius boat cruise, the harbor cruise. And so you're on this boat of extroverts, and somehow I'm still the one who started like the conga line, right? So like my girlfriend who's more introverted, she's like, "You are the extrovert amongst extroverts," and I'm like, "I guess I am."
Good for you.
So,
Good for you. I saw some of the pictures of the boat cruise. It looks like a
oh, it
wonderful.
was a great time.
Yeah.
Hope to see you there next year.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can
Yeah.
do. So why did you choose to get into real estate investing? It's a bit of a segue, right? You've got a lot of success behind you in sales and business, in the business community. Investing in real estate, it's a bit of a switch, although maybe we'll find the same results. What do you think?
Yeah, I it's something I've always been interested in my adult life. Like I've just always been interested in real estate. Um, I felt I was like I moved out when I was pretty young. I was 16 when I moved out on my own. And by 21, I was kind of having this internal crisis, right?
Mm.
Of like I'm so far behind in life. I should like own a home and I should do this and I think that's where I first picked up the interest of it. like this serious interest of like, and ever since then, I spend time on MLS just for the fun of it, and looking at houses, and understanding kind of what the market rates are of them and stuff and things like that. And so it's a natural curiosity, a natural interest in it. And then there's the component of it that growing up, the people that I saw around me that I deemed as being wealthier, or not wealthy, but like rich, comfortable, I guess, coming from a place where, my family wasn't, we didn't have much. They all, and these are family members for the most part, or friends, they all owned apartments, rental properties of some kind. And so I think that planted a seed very early in my mind that in order to achieve that success in life, this was the way to do it. And so there was always an interest. And I started again early. I bought my first house when I was like 23 years old, fixed it up, made some money, continued on that process. And then it wasn't until maybe 4 years ago where I took myself off the sidelines and was like, no, I actually got to make a run at this. And I just started educating myself, and partnering with some good people, and I've had the good fortune of finding some success in it, which is great. And then as you continue down that path, I think just like anything else in life, we continue to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And so the evolution for me has been a couple things. One is into self-storage, which
Really?
yeah, which is I know a little unique compared to some, but I wasn't finding that connection that I wanted in residential, and especially small residential. And then my passion project, which I've shared in the past, is in Portugal. So my background is I just find this incredible emotional connection when I'm there. Not just because I think I'm from the background, I think it's just the way of life,
Mhm.
right? That the people have there. And so I want to be able to create that for other people, right? I want to be able to create comfortable and safe living spaces for people to be able to go and experience that themselves.
Fernando, I've seen some of your feed where you've got some posts about Portugal, and all of a sudden now every day I seem to see one or two different pictures of Lisbon or somewhere in Portugal that pops into my social media. It's captivating. It's so
Yeah.
such breathtaking scenery out there. I almost maybe that's where you get your calm from, because it just makes me chill right out. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to go. So tell me about this. I mean, specifically from an investing lens in Portugal. Have you got any investments there? What do you see as challenges for making this happen, and for yourself, and I guess for others to get into that market? What's the return on investment? What's the challenges that people have to overcome? And obviously, to be in those pictures is something that I would like to figure out. So tell me more.
Yeah, yeah. No, and it is fun to be in those pictures. And you were saying about that sense of calm. I joke with people, whether it's Portugal or somewhere else, where that has that same way of life. I've told people you never really kind of stick your toes in the water and the ocean and feel upset, right? There's just
Yeah, yeah.
this sense of peace and happiness that comes with that. As far as investing, I think I'd like to speak more broadly at first about just international investing, because it's something that I try to talk to people about quite a bit now, and just opening up their minds into where you can live your life. And sometimes we're stuck under this concept of like, well, to live, I need X amount of money. And usually that money is tied to whether we're living here in Canada or in the US, because cost of living is so high, right? So that number to retire or to live this life of design is quite high. It's hard to achieve that. But when you move into these other places where the cost of living is less, and again, there's this better life kind of balance of things, you're a lot closer to achieving that goal, right? And so that's one thing to consider. But when you're looking at international investing in general, I think the biggest thing is just trying to learn what are the local rules of engagement. And what I mean by that are what are the current or what are the local challenges to finding a property, to building a property, to working with construction teams, to whatever that might be. Every local market including ours here, and it's going to be different from, province to province, state to state. What are those local challenges? I think that's the biggest thing that you have to kind of figure out when you're going into a foreign market. So, of course, trying to build, I guess we'll call it a local team is important,
Yeah.
right? Connecting with those local experts that understand it well and can guide you along the way is going to be incredibly important. Because even for me, as I kind of started uncovering some stuff in Portugal, a good example is mortgages, right? People are like, oh no, you can get 80% loan to value mortgage, same as you can, throughout North America. And yeah, they'll take in foreign income as part of it. And you start to go and kind of look into it and like, well, yes, technically that is achievable. Now, finding the lender that'll do it is a different story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of them, if you don't have any property there, because there's no collateral for them to pull from, will give you maybe a 50 or 60% loan to value.
Mm.
Right. So these are like the little things that you go along the way. What are the taxes that you have to pay? What are the structures that have to exist? What are the rules around renting it out? Right. And how does the government view that type of income and tax it? So those are all things that, it's taken me some time to learn,
Mhm.
which I'm happy to share with people who want to learn it for themselves. And to the question of have I invested in anything yet? No, I have not.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of time learning. There was a property that was really, really close to getting, and honestly, I blame myself for not getting it. And there was, I think, some level of fear, even though now I'm talking about, just kind of going and doing it. There's this level of fear, but not what you would think, not around purchasing there. That I'm actually quite comfortable with. I was trying to find partnerships and this property is like an amazing opportunity that if it was here, it would have been a no-brainer. I would have been out marketing this thing and people probably would have been clamoring all over it. But I was like, are people going to feel comfortable? Are people going to feel secure doing this in a completely different country, in a different, continent? And that kept me from having the conversations.
Mhm.
Right. And so I'm really focused now. I'm motivated to kind of take down that barrier for myself, and find out from others like what is their comfort level? What do they need to feel comfortable in doing this kind of thing? And I've, generally been receiving good feedback and good interest. So it's been exciting.
Yeah. Have you ever considered immigrating there? Is that something you'd put on the table ever?
Yeah, I started telling my kids a few years ago. So I'm actually a citizen. My parents are both from there, so I went and got my citizenship done. I've been joking around with my kids for years that once they're 18, I'm like, I'm gone. And we're close to that number. Now some life things have kind of changed along that way, but it's still something that I can't shake. Right? It's something that I can't shake within me that again, it's that quality of life, it's that balance of living where people prioritize family and health and being, I think, happy over having stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I don't know that that's exclusive to Portugal. I think places that you go and you find, nicer climates and whatnot, that happens a lot. But there's something about there specifically how friendly the people are. Everyone speaks English, so anyone who is English speaking looking to go there, you start right away in like grade one, basically learning English, and so everyone speaks English there. So yeah, there's just something about it that I always feel so connected and drawn. In fact, before we were doing this, I was actually watching just a video of someone who emigrated there and where they've lived and what their experience has been, and yeah, it's really hard to shake.
Sweet. I'm gonna keep watching what you're up to, my friend. I really am for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, we were at that Expand event together, sitting at the
Yeah.
same table, and Majid went on the stage and he said, anybody interested in taking this public speaking course, and like a lightning bolt, you were out of your chair and on the stage. I was so impressed. So, how was this public speaking course? Tell me about that.
And it was actually super cool. It was really powerful, because we saw people who, unlike me, aren't comfortable in that space, right? And breaking their comfort and
Mm.
getting up and sharing their stories and really forcing themselves to kind of come out of their own shadow a little bit. And it's really empowering to see people do that, which I loved. We got to share some stories of ourselves, and just generally, I would encourage anyone if you get the opportunity to go to that type of event, which is structured around public speaking, especially when you're in the real estate space, right? Like, do it. Because a lot of what we need to do is talking to people, is talking to sellers, is talking to potential investors, is talking to just other colleagues in the space,
Yeah.
right? Like we're doing here that, hopefully you can benefit each other. So if you have the opportunity, do it. For that one in particular, I went to try to help refine my story, my voice, um, and I got a lot out of it. I'm going to continue to expand on that part of who I am and try to use this stage and platforms like this to help build my business. I've decided to get into coaching,
Okay.
taking my experience in business and helping people who are just getting to business for the first time themselves, who've never really been exposed to some of these things, realize that some of the problems they're facing that are holding them back in their own goals and their own business growth, to them, they feel like these really big obstacles and blocks, right? But to someone who's been through a bunch of it and seen it, it's really not that big of a deal, right? And so being able to help people through that, as I've kind of started to learn and been doing on some networking calls that I've been on, um, has made me feel valuable, right? Which I think is super important. As to where in my corporate life, yes, using my expertise and my experience to generate revenue, to generate money, to move brands along and things like that. But this feels so much different and so much better because I get to help people,
Mm.
people in their own businesses and in their own goals, right? And so it feels amazing. I love it. I'm super excited to embark on this part of my journey. And so that public speaking part, I think, is certainly going to help me get my word out.
That's awesome. That really is. I mean, we all need something that fills our cup, right? You've gotta be motivated and really want to go to work, or else it's like a chain around your ankles.
Oh, yeah, it's so important, right? Like loving what you do and feeling again valuable. I think when you get out of bed and go to do something, it's different. It doesn't feel like work,
Yeah,
right? And that's an amazing feeling.
good for you. So, what are your goals? What does success look like for Fernando? And so, how are you going to know when you get there? What does it all look like?
So the funny thing is, I don't know that I'll ever feel like I get there.
Yeah.
Um, it's one of the things that's I think maybe driven me crazy a little bit as well throughout my life. And people ask me that, aren't you happy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. And I generally I'm a fairly happy person, right? I try to see the positive side of life. But in my success and my pursuit of success, I don't know that I'll ever get there. And it's weird, right? I've come to embrace it, right? I think I used to feel like I had to apologize to a certain degree for that, as to where now I'm like, no, who cares? Who cares if I go through the rest of my life just constantly pursuing the next thing? Why should I stop evolving? Why should I stop changing? Why should I stop growing? That sounds pretty boring to me,
Oh
right?
no, it sounds actually quite aligned with my own journey. So I think that there's no such thing as retirement. It's really just keep on going and making sure that
Yeah,
there's something that fills your cup every day, then it's worth doing.
I think so, right? And so when we talk about goals, I mean, my immediate goals are connecting with as many people as I can to hopefully try to help them in their business,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
If anything, my coaching goals have replaced short term some of my real estate objectives.
Mhm.
And it's because to me, real estate is the long term. It's always been the long term plan, right? It's still something I love. But it's always going to be a long term plan. But the short term plan is, when I started being able to help people in their business and overcome their own obstacles, that's what fills my cup
Well, you
right
certainly
now.
got the background for this. You'll be a great coach, I'm sure of it.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I'm getting to the point where I think it's last words. Um, and um, this has been a fantastic half hour. Thank you very much for joining me.
I
Um,
completely
B,
have had me.
for me, what I'm catching out of this, I mean, I really appreciate all that you're bringing to the table. I'm looking forward to seeing how your story evolves, and I want to learn more. There's a lot more questions I could ask, I'm sure. hopefully we'll get a chance to get together again and talk some more. So thank you for sharing your story. I really do appreciate it. If somebody wants to reach you, they're interested in coaching or want to go to Portugal, and I know who to call. How do they reach you, bud?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm FN good, right? Fernando Nunes, and like say life is good, so it's an easy way to remember it.
Mm.
Of course, on Facebook, just Fernando Nunes. I think actually the kind of private tag that you can add is like Fernando Invests, maybe. Um, but yeah, those are probably the two best ways to do it. But Steve, I also want to add, like, dude, I'm super happy that you had me on here. Super happy to be chatting with you. I know we really in life only met like briefly, right? And had some small conversations, but I will say the same to you that you've said to me on this is, your presence, your demeanor, um, your voice. It's amazing for this, right? I hope that you're enjoying doing this and having these conversations because I think it's a natural gift for you. I think you ask great questions and I appreciate you having me on here, man. It's been fun. And I certainly hope that we get to do it again and again and watch each other grow and support each other in our growth.
You are too kind, far too kind. Thank you so much for those compliments. I'm glowing here. I'm blushing. So
See, you're the kid in the meme, which I'll send you after, just holding the
yeah,
present.
that'll be me. That'll be me. Thank you, my friend. I'm gonna stop recording now.